are Exalted Flamers of Tzeentch, Firenadoes Incarnate in patch 6.3.4. Okay, that was lazy, but I can't think of this unit without the word Firenado anymore, as in Fire Tornado. That's because its flames generate such tornadoes upon impact now. That's also awesome. I mean, this single entity missile monster was already good at hitting characters and stuff. Now it's impressively anti-blob too, and that matters. Recruit for 1300 gold equivalent and 325 upkeep, as in, actually not as expensive as Changebringers. On Ultra they come at 3180 hit points and 800 barrier hit points. Armor is 10, physical resistance 20% default, leadership a healthy 70, speed 50, charge speed 60. This is pretty flamer. Melee attack begins at 34, which is far from awful, and each attack carries Flaming Attack, Magical Attack, and Warp Flame, so it buffs its own melee attack. Of course, it is a missile monster. Attack interval 4 is standard, splash target size medium is Empire Knights on down, and max target splashed is 6, which is pretty broad. Melee defense 20 is low but better than Flamers. Weapon strength is non-leap year extent 365. Split base 115 and armor piercing 250, so actually decently armor busting. If desperate, yes, use this against an armored lord and pray. Charge bonus is a mere 6, and mass is 1400. So yeah, how about ranged? Ammunition 15 is better than Flamers. Range 150 is further than Pink Horrors, Chuck Fireballs. Nominal damage, and I told you flamethrowers get nuts, is 1013 and carrying Flaming Magical Warp Flame. Each individual shot, quote-unquote, is base 25 and armor piercing 55 on impact. Detonation radius is 5 meters, and within that, base 3, armor piercing 7 per shot. Now that's okay, but if it wasn't for the Firenadoes, this would be like it was at launch. Far better at burning down single entities than hitting groups. Flamers have a similar explosion damage in a smaller radius, but you get 12 of them per unit, not 1. But Firenadoes exist, so there! Also, I need to point out that it is 9 shots per volley again. That explains the math. Artillery trajectory simply means shields aren't blocking this. Reload time 8 seconds is no worse than Flamers or Horrors. Total accuracy begins at the standard 20, which means it'll get more accurate, but doesn't start there. Calibration distance 100 means that the last third of its normal range is less accurate. That's an advantage against infantry blobs. Calibration area 2 meters is not as tight as the regular Flamers, so while not terrible, you'd prefer to hit a Griffin than a Skaven Warlord on foot. There is a small penetration cap and max targets penetrated of 2 before the explosion, which helps when burning down rival Chaos Warriors. It causes fear, it is demonic, it cannot hide in forest. It is not a siege attacker. For the redline skills, for Mortal Chaos Lords, we don't have double dipping because they're not infantry. Warp Fire at 3 pips grants speed plus 6%, melee defense plus 8, which is very interesting, and missile strength plus 12%, which is very important. At rank 7, Malevolent Ranger gives armor plus 10, reload time reduction 10%, and missile resistance 15%. For Tzeentch Demonic Lords, 3 pips of many-colored fires gives range plus 10%, and missile strength plus 8%. The range increase is interesting, especially here. At rank 7, Incendiary Assault would add leadership plus 6, missile strength plus 12%, and spell resistance plus 15%. In the mainline Tzeentch tech tree, all we get is Warp Flame formula, reducing upkeep by 9% and increasing missile strength by 9%. This means that for rank 7 and up Exalted Flamers, we could get plus 29% missile strength potentially. Now, I cut and pasted that from the Flamer video, but your heads can do the math of how this affects damage from a single entity rather than a group. Of course, it's going to do a lot more to your foes with direct damage, but again, the unlisted Firenadoes help tear through blobs. I don't have actual stats for them, but I think they reflect the shots, not the explosion damage, and that means impressive anti-armor if so. We go by feel in this case. So how do we use Exalted Flamers of Tzeentch? There's actually a lot of ways, so long you are using the ranged attack from a safe distance, and the bad way to use them is in melee, which means the top priority of any enemy force isn't necessarily to kill it, it's to neutralize it by dragging it into melee. Keep that in mind. While they're not exactly bad at hitting single entities, you will encounter situations where you're much better off annihilating a single Chaos Knights of Nurgle unit first, and then moving on to leadership. Target selection can laugh at armor, but rather than aim for blobs, you can often be better off targeting the highest value lower entity unit. Chariots are a good example. High armor can be squirrely, but if you actually catch them in Warflame, they go up like dry tinder. The bottom line is that for anti-character, the Burning Chariot version is simply better. The Exalted Flamer, especially near maximum range, can do horrific damage to a spread-out group of infantry, and that's not a bad thing at all. I encourage you to work out by feel all the things you can do with an Exalted Flamer, and if you tried one before the Firenado change and haven't since, definitely try it, and take a few moments to laugh evilly. It's just really hard not to like. In terms of practical advice, just create a gap through which it can fire effectively. Don't change anything else you are doing normally with horrors chucking fireballs, and burn stuff down. The Warp Flame helping the horrors is nice too, but the Flamer will do a lot of work. Don't overcomplicate this. Just layer as much damage as possible that things will crumble. Your knights need space to work with, and creating that space with fleeing enemy units works just fine. Take care, and have fun setting your foes on fire in such pretty colors. This is a more intimate, discriminate version, but no less effective for it.